So the kids at the high school, they've told me like that my vibe is like apparently is like casual homeless, and so like I've really leaned into that.
What?
Yeah, they're like, because I do stuff that they're like, how do you work here?
Roll the intro.
Hello? No, I know. No, don't worry about it. Season 4 starts right now.
Let's go!
Welcome back, everybody, to Under the Influence. This is Season 4, Episode 7. We're so glad you are here, back with us to enjoy conversation, zany, stupid things, and whatever else happens. We love doing this. We love doing it just already because it's fun, but we love doing it for you. If you enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it, we hope that you will, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, leave a review, and then ultimately tell your friends about it. Share the show, and if you enjoy like the kind of stuff that we talk about, and you want to know more about the things that we do online or the ministry we're a part of called Christian Influence, join our Discord at discord.gg/Christian Influence. Okay, all that boring stuff is out of the way. We are here with a very fun and exciting episode for you. We have got a guest, as you can see. I mean, you're looking at him, right? I'm not looking at him, but you're looking at him. Mr. Hunter Hoover.
How are you guys?
Good.
Sweet. It's good to be here. I love the space. We were. I got the tour earlier, and should I tell him about my ghost story idea, or is that like a
If?
Oh, you should definitely tell Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell
so
me.
as they got a new space, it's super cool. But as they took me on the tour, I'm sitting here thinking they've got a body cam up and do like a ghost adventures into this back area because it's begging for
Now
it.
we've got to do the Ghost Adventures before this episode drops.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah.
like,
What he's
got a few
referencing is we have, obviously, everybody watching knows we have this new space. It's a nice office space, but it's in a larger warehouse space, and they're connected. Like this is the office to that warehouse, but we just rent the office. And if we want to use the restroom, we have to walk through that creepy warehouse to get to the shared restroom. And there's nobody occupying that warehouse, so that's why it's partially why it's a creepy warehouse. But
And it's also just a creepy warehouse.
and it's just a
very,
yeah. I mean, if there was someone occupying it, it would still be creepy.
There could be somebody under the floorboards, and you would
That's
not
true.
know.
You know what? You know who could have followed us? It could be Frank.
no.
No, we don't talk about Frank.
Frank.
That never happened.
We left Frank behind.
We purposely left Frank. Like,
Yeah.
we chained him to that wall with ghost chains.
Like Jacob Marley.
Jacob
Ghost
Marley.
chains.
Yeah. So you guys will recognize Hunter if you've watched the show before or you're a longtime fan. He was on season 3 with us, episode 12 of season 3 to be specific.
Whoa.
He's back because, and I got to tell you this, dude, people loved your episode.
Really?
Now, should we be surprised? Well, maybe a little bit. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because it was probably unlike any episode in the history of our show. The whole time we talked about like pooping and bathrooms and horror stories of those sorts of experiences. And I think Levi wasn't even on that episode,
Nope.
right?
No. That's why it was such a big hit.
Yeah.
No, I mean like not just in the fact that like it had until now, it had the most views on our YouTube channel of all of our episodes.
Wild.
And also, it's the episode that whenever people tell me like, "Hey, I really like your show," I'm like, "Oh, good," and it's always one of the ones listed. Like people will say like, "Oh, my favorite episodes are this one," and then they definitely mention that one.
I don't know.
No, like I was just talking to a guy last week on Discord. I hang out with him a lot, or as much as I can, and his name is Capel. Capel, I know you're watching. And he was like, I was, like, I really love your guys' show, and he's like, honestly, some of my favorite episodes, and he mentioned the one that we're all in togas, the episode 3 or season 3 finale, and then he's like, and the one where you guys talked about bathrooms the whole time, and I was like, well, that guy's about to guest on our show here pretty soon, and he was like, oh, sweet, so
Here I am.
Here you are. When we had that conversation, so you're going to see how much time between the recordings when those episodes come out.
It comes out.
You might forget we ever had that conversation. It could be so long. But yeah, dude, we're so glad that you're here. you got that tour of the new space. And so as a bathroom professional, real quick, before we move on to more of our structured portion of the show, what did you think of ours?
Yeah.
Well, so the presentation of the first portion of the bathroom was an empty room. There is a sign that says restroom over here, and it's an empty room.
That's true.
Yes.
And
The men's restroom is an empty room.
Yes. So the women's restroom, which is above the men's restroom,
Which is what we all use.
yes, has it's under construction. It seems in some ways, And I cannot stress, this is not because of the gentleman here on this show. I think it is a shared restroom if anybody used this warehouse.
Yeah.
So we went in, and then the presentation to me was, hey, you see that wall right over there? There was and might still be yellow jackets in that space.
You guys told him that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Levi did.
Dude, that's why he was going in there. and he was
yeah.
just-
Yeah. So I
haven't seen them for weeks, just for the record.
That's great because that's like one of the handful of things that I will turn into a small child screaming and running, like yellow jackets, hornets, all that. So
Really? Me too.
yeah, the idea of bathrooming in a yellow jacket nest, no.
Oh, you want to know? So I was the one to discover the yellow jackets in a very unfortunate
Oh god.
event. So I haven't told this story on the podcast because,
Why would you?
but because you're here, it unlocks something in me. A brazenness that maybe not usually there. So there was a few weeks ago, a day where like, man, things are moving, hit me hard, right? And we've all been there.
Yeah.
Went up to the bathroom. I picked my favorite stall, which is the only one that locks, and go to that corner stall. It's closest to the aforementioned wall.
Yep.
That has the window. And at the time, the window was taken out and removed because they were working on the roof. And so that window always open. Now it's boarded up, but always open. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, like this is open. That's weird. And there was something. Oh, so I open the stall. I look at the toilet and in it, I see 3 wasps in the toilet, like in the water. And I'm like, and they're clearly not moving and dead. And I was like, well, that's weird. I quickly looked around, like, I guess like, okay, there's a gaping hole in the wall essentially right now. They flew in for some stupid reason. These wasps were attracted to the toilet water, drowned themselves. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's weird. So I'm like, okay, awkward, flushed them, sat down and did my business. I'm most of the way through with that process. When I'm sitting there, obviously, and I see under the stall on the floor outside of it, right by where the sinks are, I see dink fall into the ground a wasp. And I'm like, came raining from above. And then bink, another one. And they're just going like dying. And I was like, what is going on? I look up. Dude, the ceiling crawling with them.
Nope.
And then I realize the reason those were in the toilet is because they fell from above. Where am I sitting right now? I'm sitting on it, and there's like 4 of them crawling on right above me, and I'm like, I have never finished that situation, cleaned up, and gotten out of the bathroom faster in my life. Because I'm like, dude, if one falls into the toilet, it's going to fall onto me.
Or onto me.
Yeah.
A bigger barrier.
Like, onto
Yeah, well,
me.
I was kind of
like.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to protect yourself at that point. Rather get your back than anything else.
Man, I don't know if I would finish. Like, I think I would just wrap up immediately and run out.
There was no like cutting anything off halfway.
Fair
It was like at this point I had started the procedure,
process.
of everything else. So what you were afraid of has happened to someone.
Yeah, perfect. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
I'm glad it wasn't me. So
I'm glad it was me. That way it wasn't you.
Yeah. So when I was here, not this last Thursday, but like the week before, like I've always been using the other toilet because we only have 2 of the 8 stalls.
6. I thought that's what he was going to mention. Because to me, part of the presentation that's funny is like you walk into this place and you're like, man, either those don't work or they're crime scenes. Because 4 out of the 6 stalls have red duct tape on them with big X's.
And caution tape between the
and caution tape, yeah.
and are screwed shut.
And
Yeah,
screwed
and
shut.
they're all
Yeah.
screwed
Yeah.
shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the
cops did that.
I'll be honest. We did put the tape on them.
Okay.
Just to be like very clear, like don't even try and use these because every time people would go up there, they'd be like, "What?" Because they were already screwed shut when we moved in here. So
And then there's one of them that every once in a while it will turn on running water. One of the screwed shut ones.
Yeah.
And-
And it just runs.
creepy.
So fun.
Yeah. But Matt said that he opened the little there's like these like big wooden things behind the toilets, and he said he saw all the hornets in there. So
I'm too much of a
don't do a duty if you have to.
Yeah.
in one of those.
Yeah.
I'm too much of a coward to like open it up and look.
I opened it. I didn't see any.
Okay.
So like that's what I mean. Like in the last few weeks, I haven't seen any in the bathroom. I didn't see any in those behind the things. So I think they're gone.
But like during the day, I'll look and I'll see like 2 or 3 above that far stall.
All
so
right.
I always use the other one, but the other one, the door doesn't shut. Like
fine.
it like closes, but you can't.
There's
lock
never
it or
anybody
anything.
here.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Be
until there is,
wild
and
if
then
there was though.
dude,
Like,
okay,
Dude.
yeah.
like, but also because the window was taken out and
Yeah.
then a piece of wood over it, you hear everything that's going on outside,
Yeah.
and
Not
there's people
anymore,
on the
but-
roofs.
Yeah,
Like
I've been in there using the restroom, number 2, and there was someone on that roof that just walked by the open window, and I was like,
Because it's an opening from the window to the sea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
my
like
God.
and you
full
feel
like
like straight
free
through,
sky.
You look straight through. Yeah.
"You're fully exposed, man."
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also
not
there's-
anymore. So if any ladies end up, visiting our space for any reason, don't feel too like it's not something that the people told us when they moved in here. Was she was like, the bathroom. I'll be honest with you, it's not great. If you have a wife, it'll make her run screaming, running away. And I was like, oh, that's really selling the place. Like then she showed me. I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
But just don't use that far stall.
Yeah.
And take a buddy if it's after hours because
It's creepy.
there's no light.
Yeah. So, per our tradition on the show, we're doing this on guest episodes as well this season. And you might not know this because you've watched it / listened to the first 2 episodes. We brought the hypotheticals back.
Okay.
And so for this episode, our opening hypothetical. Now, we've already opened the show, so we don't need an icebreaker, but this is just because it's fun. And I think this one can be quick. Hopefully it doesn't.
An hour later.
If the fruit, I'm going to preamble this. This just feels, I want you to know why I picked this one for you.
Okay.
It's about fruit.
Okay.
And on your show, the episode I was on, and then the episode you were on here, we talked about eating fruit in the shower.
Yes.
That's why I picked
Yes.
this one. Felt fitting. If the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil had a modern equivalent, what fruit or snack would it be and why?
Or snack.
Or snack.
Fruit or snack, yeah. Because it's obviously we know it was a fruit, right? According to the Bible. We're just saying what fruit or snack would it be? The and why, you could just say an answer. You don't have to and why it if you don't want to, but you can. Think about what this fruit represents, right?
Right.
Like we don't know, it's always drawn as an apple or whatever. I'm thinking about this like if I can pick a snack that represents what unlocks the knowledge of sin and death.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like I'm thinking like a pomegranate because
Yeah.
it's not just a choice of like an apple. You pick it and you bite it. You have to open it up and then dig out the seeds and then eat the seeds.
Consciously choose.
you have to consciously not just take it off the tree.
And I've seen a lot of it,
But,
like depicted as a pomegranate,
but
old art.
go into like it. You have to work at it and then because it's a conscious not just
Or a coconut.
absentmindedly. Or a coconut. Ooh. I mean,
Just feels
a
less
coconut
interesting.
because those are gross.
How do you feel about coconut?
It's
Fan?
fine.
Yeah.
I stay away from it as
Yeah.
often as possible.
Me too.
But
Really?
yeah.
Dude, I hate it when
just not
it's like, oh, here's a dessert. Oh, this is because, and then they just do.
Oh, the coconut sprinkle on top is
We
good.
get this beautiful chocolate
It's
cake.
a nice.
Love coconut.
And also I sprinkled a little coconut into it. And
That's fine with me. Yeah. I would never choose it.
Just leave it out.
No,
but
just
coconut-
don't.
So
Coconut's
we're in good company. I like this guy.
Coconut is so good.
Will you just eat chips of it for no reason?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Dried coconut chips. Oh, they're so
That's
good.
a bummer, man.
But regular chips also are really good.
Regular chips are also really good, but those serve 2 different purposes.
Yeah.
One's salty and one's sweet.
One, tastes like
One savory
Lotion.
and incredible, and then
Chalky
the other
lotion.
one's
Yeah.
Lotion.
I want to
Yeah,
add to this. So as I'm sitting here, two things pop in my brain. The first is the large tray of nachos Bel Grande from Taco Bell.
That's
On a tree.
well, it doesn't have to. Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that was
because
the
of the
snack
consequences.
region.
Okay.
Yeah.
That you consider that a snack?
You know, sometimes.
Well, I maybe sometimes I'm feeling snacky and I go for something like that. But like, does that mean it's classified as a snack?
4 a.m. You've been out with the guys. You go for a snack and you get that.
I think
you know?
that's exactly
yeah.
why it hits
Yeah.
this equivalent. For
Fair
me.
point.
If it was a fruit, though, it'd be yellow dragon fruit.
Okay.
Because
that fruit's good.
It's good. It's also very fibrous.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so my wife and I lately have been like, we go to Safeway and sometimes they have a section of like interesting fruits, and they're the ones that sit there for a while. Like they've got the cactus jelly fruit stuff, and we've just been like, you know what? Every time we go to the grocery store, if we see a fruit we've never tried, let's buy it. So and sometimes it's happened to be on Fridays, so we call it Freaky Fruit Fridays.
oh boy,
Freaky fruit Fridays.
yeah, there you
Weird
go.
name, but because we brought one home one time that was like those jelly melons that look like big horse pills with spikes all over them.
Yeah.
No.
Have
I
you
do
never
not.
had? You should
I've
try
never
one of
had
these.
one, but I've seen it.
Jelly melons.
So they're cactus melons. They're like orange and they're spiky all over, but when you open them, they're basically just like jelly inside.
Wild.
That's weird.
Not amazing, but not bad. But we tried dragon fruit and we're like, I kind of enjoyed it. I like the texture a lot. But then we tried the yellow one because I saw you, I think in one of your episodes of your show, you talked about, oh, no, you did a video where you're like, I'm going to eat 3 of them, see what happens.
Don't do that.
Was that a bad,
It was
bad
a
decision?
decision to be sure.
They're known to induce.
you have to section off a whole afternoon.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
So what's the onset? Is it like half an hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Instant?
Yeah, about
Instant?
half hour.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it
I was in
bad?
Target when the onset happened.
Why?
And I was like, we got to go home.
We gotta go home. We gotta go home now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They taste good though.
They do. It's
It's really good.
yeah.
And if you're ever blocked up?
100%.
It's kind of a creamy, fruity flavor. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was. Like
Yeah.
like it's not citrusy. It's not like
really?
super like
thought-
sweet sugary. It's
I
like
thought it would have been citrusy.
oh, it's not citrusy at all, in my opinion.
No, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. In my brain, it was very like the texture was very similar to like an overripe kiwi.
Yeah,
Oh,
kind of, but not in a
okay.
bad way.
Yeah, not in a bad way.
That's the texture?
No, it's very
of.
Okay.
So the way I described it to Perry was like it's like if you took a kiwi and made it kind of creamy tasting.
Yeah, yep,
Like
yep.
it's very kiwi textury.
right.
Well, the center part of the kiwi, the best part that almost has like a
the pulpy.
none of the citrus part. Like I think it's the best. It's just the whiter part.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing's kind of like that, but with seeds that are throughout it.
Yeah, the best part.
Are they
of the kiwi.
swallowing
it's the
seeds?
best
That's fine. Hey, I regularly like make kiwi rings and get rid of that.
Oh, I love that
Really?
part. I think
Yeah.
it tastes like vanilla.
It's fun for kids. It's
I think it tastes like vanilla, dude. I
Do you
think
leave the
it's so
skin
good.
on when you do the kiwi rings?
I've done it.
Is
but-
that a thing?
Yeah, people eat the kiwi skin. It's
I
wild.
did that recently. I was at an event and it was a huge charcuterie board and there were just really prettily cut kiwis, but they had the skin on. And I was like,
But people are just like eating it and then like
no, nobody
throwing
took
that
them
away.
that I
You eat
saw.
'em.
No, you couldn't do that because they were cut like spiky. So you couldn't peel it off. It would just like tear. And I was like, Perry, do we eat the skin? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, they wouldn't put them here. Yeah. So I just was like, if it's going to kill me. And I just ate, it was fine.
Did you
There-
die?
There is
No, it's fine.
there's 2 variants of kiwi. There's like the one that we traditionally see in the stores that has the fuzzies all over it. There is a grape kiwi. It's
And those
a
are
s-
poisonous.
No, it's a smaller kiwi, and it doesn't have the hair on the outside.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
and,
had those.
and you can
we
just,
had
and you can
them.
just eat
Yeah.
those just straight.
Those are amazing.
And
It's like prepubescent kiwi.
yeah,
Yeah.
we bought a kiwi plant and actually sits in our yard, but we thought we bought the
that's
grape
funny.
style, but it's not.
It's the fuzzy ones.
It's the fuzzy ones, and it takes 7 years for them to produce their first fruit.
So we finally.
Nice.
It has been 9 years since we planted it,
Yeah.
and we got our first harvest last year.
Did you get, how many did you get?
So the problem,
like
so
30,
we get
40.
tons, but the problem is, we've been having like the flash freezes,
Yeah.
too early,
Yeah.
and it ruins it.
I mean,
because
maybe kiwis aren't meant to grow in Oregon so well, but
They go.
well, you're
actually-
supposed to be like lower, like
we're pretty low. We're in
like
the valley.
we're like just too high for like the optimum area for them to be, because like
Really?
we have to harvest them like just before the freezing, or else they get ruined.
But you still got
they're-
30, 40?
Yeah.
That's sick.
If you go to the first freeze, like the first freeze day, and you pick them that day, it will take 5 days until they're completely ripe, like you would get at the store, like you would want to eat these. But you can eat them the frozen day. They're just tough. But they're so sweet.
Dude,
They're
next time,
so good.
can I just have one?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
I didn't know you had kiwis. That's so cool.
We didn't know we had kiwi until
dude. But
This was
like
the first
a
year?
lot
This
of
was
them.
last year was our first year that we got it on harvest.
Kiwis like don't ripen like other fruits off the vine. Like
Yeah.
What do
like
you mean?
when we were sitting there for like weeks, like trying to like see when they would. So we would grab one like every couple days, we would cut into it, and then it's just like a block of ice.
Yeah.
Like that's the hardness
They're
of trying to get anything out of it.
Amazing.
And then all of a sudden the next day
bending
they're
spoons.
soft.
We were like
Crazy.
bending
So it's
spoons.
kind of like
on
avocados.
these.
Like avocados will be real hard, and then you're like, okay, I bought these because I'm gonna need them in a few days, so they'll ripen. And then you go the next day to them, and they're moldy. You're like,
Yeah.
what the heck? I have a 1 hour window to eat these things.
I did trick Caleb into trying something, because he's like sitting there with the spoon and he's like scraping off like a millimeter of amount, and he's like working really hard. He's bending the spoon a little bit, and I'm like, just use your teeth, like just. And he's like, what? And I'm like, dude, yeah, like you do for ice cream or something. Yeah. Like if it's a little bit too hard, you kind of just like cut through it.
Right, if you're a
And-
psychopath.
And he's like, he looks and he's like, okay. I'm just sitting at my computer, like, and I can look across into the kitchen, and he just.
I did not know this.
And he works really hard. He gets them out. And he's just like, that doesn't taste good, and that hurt a lot. And he spits it out and he throws it away. And I'm just laughing.
That's funny.
What a mean big brother thing to do. All right, the question.
Anyway.
What is?
Hey, he's like 2021. Like he's not a child.
I know. I'm just saying it's such a big brother thing to do, to be like, hey, that
yeah.
spoon's not gonna work. Try your teeth. So the fruit
Back to the fruit.
of the tree, knowledge,
Yeah,
good and
yeah.
evil. Levi, you said pomegranates.
Yep.
No more pomegranates. You said Taco Bell nachos.
Yeah, the large size.
Well, I mean, we already know good and evil, so we can still eat it.
Yeah. We're just saying what's the modern equivalent.
Oh yeah.
So what represents? You eat this. You are in touch with good and evil.
Oh, so see, I was going with you ought not to eat it, but you
No, that's a good. No, that's a good.
very good.
No, that's a good point.
All right,
That's a good
all
point.
Yeah. That's where I was going.
I like where you're coming at that.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I was just trying to think of something that
What gives you
equally
knowledge.
represents like good, like which I think the Taco Bell thing too. Like it's delicious, but it's evil.
Yes.
So it represents this duality, right?
Yeah.
So,
You could choose anything from Taco Bell.
no, you're so Taco Bell, the place.
The Taco Bell store.
So I will say I went with the nachos Bel Grande because I feel like when you're in a car, which is where I feel like a lot of people talk
yeah.
that's like the one Taco Bell thing that is a complete disaster in the car.
Oh, 100%.
And so
I think that's why I've never had it.
yeah,
I've just never chose.
Big fan.
I have to try it.
Yeah, it's worth
I
it.
didn't. I honestly
Afternoon
didn't
after.
know Taco Bell had nachos until you said that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then I was like, well, I guess that makes sense. But
Yeah, it's good.
I'll have to give it a shot. I like Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, I do too.
Yeah, no, most of their. Recently, I tried something called a stacker from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
It's on their like cheap menu too.
What's a stacker?
So
It's like a quesadilla that they fold in half.
Yeah.
Like
That's what.
But it's-
that's what Jacob gets.
yeah, Jake. That's why I tried it because Joel was like, we went shooting with Jacob
Yeah.
and Joel goes, Jacob got me Taco Bell and he got me the best thing ever. And so he's like, can we go back to Taco Bell? Because I took Joel home, and so we went there, and I decided, all right, it's like $1.30. I'll try one, dude. It's like it's a really good bang for your buck at Taco Bell too, because it's big and beefy, like there's a lot of meat and cheese, and it's just thick, and it's not dry like some quesadillas. Like their quesadillas are okay, but they're usually like really thin and kind of dry. This is like the better because it's like juicy. It's like a juicy quesadilla.
yeah.
It's juicy. It's good. So Taco Bell. I mean, the Nacho Bel Grande, I'll have to give it a shot if that is the fruit of good and evil here. I don't know. I try and think about these questions ahead of time. I didn't think about this one ahead of time. Didn't give myself an edge. So if I'm thinking about something I love that I ought not love to eat. I mean, I like Taco Bell and I ought not, but I can't say that. Byron, do you have any ideas?
See, the problem is Taco Bell would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm allergic to milk.
Oh,
Not,
so it's on a whole nother level.
It's on another whole level. It's a whole other level. It's not just like intestinal stuff. It's like also like esophageal stuff. I'm like, it's
wow.
bad. It's
Yeah.
bad. But I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Because dude,
I
cheese
think
is
you
good.
can get it with no cheese. It has meat on it.
Yeah, but dude, like,
But then-
if you're taking out the cheese, then why bother?
Yeah.
exactly.
I can get on board with that.
yeah. Yeah. And you ask for no cheese, they're like, that's 90% of what this thing is. And you're like, I know. I just want to spend all this money for only
think-
10%.
Chips.
I think I'll have to choose something that I really enjoy. I'm stuck between two. I'm trying to think of something interesting, right? Stuck between two. One is like a really good bowl of ramen because I love it. It's so good, but sometimes like I want to make it spicy, and there's something about mixing in spicy food and soup that does make it go right through you, kind of.
Yeah.
And then you walk away like. When you eat a big bowl of like pho or ramen, you're like, oh man, like I'm so full. It's so like you feel a little bloated and it's delicious. But maybe a funnier answer is, and this never happened to me, but like my mom growing up would make something called poppy seed chicken that's delicious. It's like a casserole. It's super simple. Rice in the bottom. And then it's like this sauce that you put cooked chicken into that's like cream of mushroom soup and sour cream. It's like very like dense, American food, right? And it's this casserole. It's delicious, but there's poppy seeds in it and a lot of them. And so like if you have to pass a drug test, so my dad is a caterer and he needed a simple thing to make for a big event he did one time, and he was doing an event for the police academy.
Oh no!
And he did pans and pans of poppy seed chicken. They get there, he's feeding them, and they're all like loving it. It's really good food.
Yeah.
Like it's some foods are just so simple but so delicious. Really delicious. All these guys eating it, they're loving it. They're coming back for more and more and more. And he tells one of like the drill instructors or whatever, he's like, I didn't think about this. Like, when are you guys doing drug tests at all? And the guy's like, not for a little while. Why? They've already all had them. He's like, there's a lot of poppy seeds in this. Like,
Dude, you should have the drug test tomorrow.
so he jokingly, like, I think one of the guys jokingly said to all of them, like, all right, guys, impromptu drug tests or whatever. And they're like,
There's no police force.
the few that noticed, like, they're like,
Oh, no.
but yeah. So maybe that one, because it's so good, but but that's maybe not, people aren't drug testing very often, so it's not like a big deal. So maybe like a big bowl of soup, like ramen, because I want to make it spicy, but man, like you burp after that too, and you're like, oh, spicy soup, man.
So mine's not really like a snack. It's more of like a meal.
yeah, mine wasn't a snack.
It's more of a meal.
Yeah.
But
All meals are snacks.
all meals are
if
snacks.
you just try hard
have small.
enough.
If you
try
just
hard
eat them
enough.
between
Exactly.
meals.
I was thinking sushi.
Oh,
Because like some sushi real good, it tastes amazing, but to certain people it just makes it grumblies and the tumblies
Yeah.
and it just does not go well. And then also if they have a little bit too old of fish,
also sushi can be a mixed bag because it can look delicious but
Yeah.
taste terrible.
Yeah. That's true.
Like, I'm a big sushi
true.
guy.
I think that sushi looks incredible. I just
Yeah.
I can't.
So it's kind of like the fruit, right? It's like so enticing, but then you go for it and you're like that.
That was not
I,
good.
I was also thinking like Chinese food because like it looks great, it tastes great, and then like 2 minutes later you're hungry again and you're back like
They do that on
and then
purpose.
why did I?
Sushi. I went with ramen. Mine was the worst answer. You guys had good ones though. Pomegranate and Taco Bell Grande or Nachos Bell Grande.
Yes, the large tray.
The large tray.
I don't even know if they have a small tray.
Oh, okay. So they might just have a
I mean,
tray.
they might just nobody orders it.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're running out of things to talk about bathrooms yet?
There's moments where I begin to feel that way, and then I get on the internet, and like one search turns into three things.
That's nice.
And I mean, there has been that moment where it's like, okay, what is this when this runs out?
Yeah.
Because there's only so much.
Yeah.
inevitably the
Have you
bucket
ever
will
gone
empty.
into bathroom law, like toilet law?
So
Because I'm sure that there's like
weirdly
a ton
enough,
of
that's
stuff.
behind some of how the show. So the original plan, I don't know if I have ever. the original plan for this show was I would go into the public space and find a bathroom and record live in a bathroom.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
no,
dope.
that can't.
Turns out it's super illegal.
Oh, yeah, incredibly illegal.
Especially like we're a 2-party state. So
We are?
No, we're a one-party state.
I thought we were single party consent state.
yeah.
I'm pretty
For
sure
cameras?
for recording, for audio recording.
Audio recording, I believe we're a single-party state.
I thought that
Hey.
was single party.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was 2-party. If
we
it's
could be
single
wrong.
party,
in,
could be
in
wrong.
the bathroom though,
But
it's
bathroom
a
is
whole
different.
other
That might be a
situation.
that might be-
like,
That's a 3-party consent state.
yeah.
You, the other person, and God.
the Holy
You
Spirit.
get a person.
Well, if we're a single party state, we might be trying something new here.
Please.
It's also illegal because most bathrooms are not public; they're private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even if they're in a public space.
I don't think that the single party consent state has to be the main issue thing there, right? It's got to be the bathroom.
It's got to be the bathroom.
Because like there's that streamer.
Because like you can do street
is-
recordings and things, but yeah,
That's, Dr. Disrespect
Dr.
that
Disrespect got entirely canceled, like legitimately, because he recorded in a bathroom.
they were waiting for him to do something that they could get
I mean,
him for.
yes, but that's like
he
an
had,
actual-
He had a live stream
He had
going,
his-
and he just walked into the bathroom like to wash his hands and left.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "That was illegal."
But that's
So they
actually
canned him
illegal
for it.
to do that.
But he had video.
But that
Yes,
was
he had video.
I think
Yeah.
the audio is different.
So I mean, I wouldn't risk it doing audio in a public bathroom just because, like,
no, absolutely not.
well,
There's other people in
just
there?
for legality. Like, I mean, if it wasn't illegal, like, I think it would be funny.
The trouble is not. You begin with no people, but you have no control on who comes in.
That's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
I'm saying.
Trouble.
Like,
you the thing is if you set up a table, so you'd have to do it like properly. You set up a table and a little sign that says live recording, and you're sitting there like this. Hello, welcome to the bathroom. Come on over here, and then you just keep going on with your
Steven
podcast.
Crowder style, like
Yeah.
lifetime table. Just
Yeah.
Come on, have a seat.
You're the guy. You're the guy in the
100%.
bathroom that like you hand out the mints, you hand out like
Yeah.
the napkins and stuff. You have that all on a table, but you're just recording, and it has like a live now. And you're like, "Oh, hello, sir. This stall
will
is
be,
open."
this
And then
is
you
helpful.
continue,
Yeah.
So what I was
and then
going
you
to
can
say,
get tips, and then that can fund your stream, dude.
what I was going to say was, you said you feel like it's inevitable. Eventually, you'll get this point where maybe you do run out of stuff.
Yeah.
So do you feel like your show? For those that don't know, he has a podcast called PrivyCast, and my understanding, like it's about anything and everything, like bathrooms, right? Like, okay, so if you feel like maybe there's a day where you'll run out of bathroom specific topics to talk about, do you think that maybe someday it will just become kind of like a talk show that just happens in a bathroom?
Yeah, that's that is kind of been floating. I have another
Floating,
like
nice.
yeah, mine's never floating. But it's hard to tell. Like we do a guested episode every
Yeah.
month, and those are regularly like a spike in the listenership.
Really?
Yeah, they are also more fun to do.
I would imagine.
And it's also less work. So I would love, like, my thing is time and figuring out like the scheduling of that.
For sure.
Yeah. That's the real barrier to just doing that every time.
What do you mean? Scheduling podcast guest episodes is easy.
It's so simple,
Especially when you already have 3 people to.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, 4 people, dude.
Yeah, no, sorry. Shib.
Shibbles and bits.
Shibbles and bits. Shibbalibba ding dong.
The dog's name's Bits.
What?
Shibbles and bits.
Shibbles and bits. That's
Wow,
That's pretty adorable.
That's kind of adorable.
Sorry,
all
just
right.
thought of that.
So
Okay.
that's their. I was gonna say their couple name, like their their duo name, like as a unit.
Yeah.
Shibbles and bits.
Buddy
Shibbles
team.
and bits.
Buddy's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
I was just curious, if it feels like you're ever gonna run out of stuff.
That's who goes on the ghost adventure.
Shibbles and bits. The Adventures of Shibbles and Bits. And the camera is just on the dog. It's like
It's
a
on
GoPro
Buddy, yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole time.
So like he's just like
above the
looking
head.
around, walking into the wall.
So Shibbles is like, I see a ghost over there. Look over there. And Buddy's like,
like looking the wrong way. Dude, that's how you film a ghost show. Because like
yeah.
it's always about like not having the thing on the camera, and it's
Yeah.
always like difficult to like
Yeah.
maneuver that. You just have it on an animal
Because
and then
they're
the
fake, like-
animal doesn't work with you. When you turn the animal, it's like oh, it's gone.
I would absolutely watch this, by the way.
so, all right, that's a lot of like, but something we want to do, we talked about this with guest episodes, we want to try and have some more intentionality to get to know the guests. So the nice thing is on our show before, it's always been guests we've had where we know the person. They're our friend. And that includes you, right? Like we knew you already. We did some guest episodes on your show. Jude, Byron, and I all have. Levi.
We'll make it happen.
Well, the bathroom for him, it's a difficult.
It's a
but
scary
we don't have.
situation.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
I know you don't like to. We don't have to leave. Okay, yeah.
Let's not bring it up
I
on
know
the
it's
platform.
difficult for you, but but something we want to do, especially because we want to try and get some guests, or people that like we don't know. Maybe some like big names. Who knows? Like next guest, I'm just gonna say it. You know who it is?
Oh yes.
Episode 3. We watched a reaction video of him. It's Donald Trump. No,
We got him?
But no, can you imagine? That would be crazy. I would not.
Well, the listeners
do that.
won't know. If you're not on video, you won't know that he's not there.
That's true. It
Because
sounded
we're
like-
just talking with him.
That's true. He kept saying Levi in that video. So,
Dude, that'd be so funny.
but we want to kind of just be intentional in like getting to know you better, so that also the listener may as well.
Yeah.
So, in thinking about you, right? You're married,
Yes.
right? You're a married.
You're
man.
married?
Yes.
So,
What?
tell us a little bit about
Bless
like
you.
how did that happen?
I think I speak for many men when I say like I'm not always sure.
Yeah.
We met in school. We went to Corbin, and Corbin has these like little pods that they like group freshmen in.
Really?
And they're like freshman success. But they're really like dating pods. And they're set up that way. And this is Corbin conspiracy, but
Because the MRS degree thing, like the
truly, like
Yeah.
it's a thing. Ring by Spring, MRS. But also, like they set these pods up in, like you are in the same group as people from the same part of the country.
Oh.
And so it makes like we're going home for Thanksgiving, want to carpool.
Oh, my
it makes
goodness.
it
Wow.
truly makes stuff
It's-
like that a thing.
Well, it seems like that's a good
And
intentional
it is nice
thing.
because
It's
Every
like to
time
make
that I hear
friends.
anything more about Corbin and that whole situation, they are pushing it. Like
No, it's like they're pushing just relation. It doesn't have to be dating. Because like, no, I mean like I can imagine.
For the
Are they
audience.
purposely pairing you up with members of the opposite sex?
no, I mean
They're not.
it is a mixed group.
Okay.
are
Like-
they? Is it equal amounts?
No, so Corbin famously touts like a higher female to male ratio. Like, does it
Very progressive.
Yes, that is part of when. Here we go.
Rabbit hole.
You know what? I have no skin in the game with Corbin. Like, I loved my experience. I'm thankful for my experience, but also like, they don't pay me, so I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
They like when you tour Corbin.
Yeah.
If you're a guy, I toured Corbin, and one of the things that they're like, hey, famously high female to male ratio, just saying.
Well, of course they will.
They let you know. Like they do let you know.
If you're a single Christian guy, like that's probably
Yeah. I
like
mean,
a selling point
yeah,
for you,
yeah,
right? When you're
yeah.
college
Yeah.
aged, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
If I say yes, it's kind of hypocritical. So I'm going to say no because I am a product of it.
I mean,
yes.
they're wanting people through the door. You know.
So from our little pod,
Yeah.
we had 3 couples. So 6 people out of like 12 came out of this pod.
Wow, that's a pretty
married.
That's 6 out of the 12.
2
Dang,
people
dude.
in the pod.
Yeah, so Anna and I,
Wow.
and then another couple, Ransom and Sarah. Here we are. You guys don't know who these people are, but whatever.
That's a cool name,
And
Ransom.
then, oh man, I
had to
cannot
pay for
remember
that
the
one.
other 2. They moved to Washington, so I don't.
Oh, is
they're-
it?
They're
is
not in
it-
my brain as much.
Is it Aaron?
No,
Oh,
Aaron
he
wasn't
moved-
in my pod. He was in that Washington pod.
Yeah.
I was in the
Oh, right.
Montana, Idaho grouping. Yeah, truly, like it's by
It's-
That's
region.
crazy.
Yeah,
Is
but
it? Wow.
it makes like,
That's smart.
If you get married, because we're gonna say that's the goal of this, it makes like visiting family a little easier.
So
Unless you do it
honestly,
on and I
like,
did and move
it's-
out here.
That's smart. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Because
That's incredible.
They're
like,
doing you guys a favor.
I don't know if
my-
they still do
yeah.
that. Like I've been gone from there 10-ish years now.
oh my
like,
gosh.
I mean, I know people are still getting married through Corbin.
So
like,
to
oh, yeah,
me,
it's
to
constantly
me,
happening.
I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of administration, right?
Yeah.
They're like before this, what is it called, pod program?
they call, I can't remember what it's called,
But pods.
That's what I call
Before
it.
they start this, I'm imagining they're like, hey, we want more meaningful and intentional relationships between students here. We want people to have lasting friendships. Well, it's one of the problems with friendships when you go to college is that like, oh, you end up going back to different parts of the country. So I could imagine them being like, not thinking marriage and just being like, let's put people in groups based on the region they're from. That way they can know that like, oh, they've made friends in college, that they're going to go back to the same kind of areas and they actually can be friends for a long time.
Yeah.
Or they get together and say, how can we help people get married?
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, these marriage numbers, they're not
They're
enough.
low.
They're so low.
Well, that's
Dude,
true in America.
It's got to be like there's somebody providing funds for the school. They're donations, and it's all contingent on a certain amount of marriages every year.
We're getting real conspiracy now.
what a ridiculous conspiracy.
How is that ridiculous? Somebody's wanting to have like lasting relationships,
I mean,
like and good, healthy Christian
does.
relationships. Yeah. So what if somebody takes it upon themselves to have that
give you
desire?
money
I will
if you
give you money
create more
if you
marriage.
create more healthy Christian marriages.
I think a tertiary, like separated but related issue is marriage often results in children.
and then those children will have to go to college.
Oh,
And
that is
Go to
like,
their parents' college.
That's instantly where my brain went, is because hey, if you two get married, you both went to Corbin, you're gonna then say, hey, you're gonna go to college. I went to Corbin. That's a cool place. Let's go back to Corbin.
and I might
Instead
be
of we're continuing.
speaking from nowhere here, but I think there's a scholarship that is like an alumni.
Are you serious?
I think
if
so.
both of your parents or
I
just
think if
alumni?
any of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Well, because it would be more conspiratorial if they're like, well, no, if both
we'll give you more money if they both did.
Yeah.
You get 5,000 for one, 10,000 for two.
12,000. They get
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
extra
you get the
bonus.
boost.
12,000 for
you get
both.
12,000 for
Sure, we're hyperbolizing numbers.
Wait,
here,
then
so.
okay. I mean, they're getting attendance out, but like that's also more money.
What?
It's being paid by the people that want the marriages.
Yeah.
Levi, maybe figure it out.
But then-
So
oh
you
my
met your
goodness.
wife
But
at Corbin.
Yes.
Beautiful.
We began dating our freshman year. When we met, she had a boyfriend. So it was kind of a bummer, but I was super cool about it. And
Was he going to the school?
Was he going to the school?
no, he was
Oh,
back
then
home.
they can't get married. Yeah.
They're not allowed. And so I just kind of was like hanging out with the guys. And then I found out one day that they had broken up. And I was like, cool, I'll see you. I'm going down the hill to this soccer game that I have never cared about before now.
Did she play in it? Or?
No, she was just attending it. And we started hanging out. We went to coffee, which is like Christian code for going on a date without saying you're going on a date. Because you can't say the word date, apparently. I don't know.
Really?
Apparently that's like
It's frowned upon.
taboo, early
As-
Christian dating.
As
Like,
Christians or at Corbin?
I think there's like a Christian culture thing where it's like they're almost
Yeah.
afraid to speak the word.
Oh, no. It's
I
true.
mean, like the dating culture is like so, like, not really.
But no,
Christian.
you're right.
Like,
Right.
You're
So,
right.
but if you go get coffee and talk for 3 hours,
Yes.
it's better. So,
Yeah.
And then you can like do that either once or twice and then say,
oh yeah, that
is
was
this a date? Or you can be like, do you want to go on a date?
yeah.
Like,
You
yeah.
want to go on a real date? We're going to do the same thing. So that happened. We started to date. And then the day, well, we started to go to coffee. And then the day that we officially said, okay, yeah, we're dating, my parents came to town. And it was like, hey, mom and dad, can I bring a +1 to dinner off
Nice.
campus? And it was like, hi, this is my girlfriend as of a couple hours. And also, this is my parents. Meet them on really the first date. Kind of, it was wild.
Were they out for a school like?
They just came over to visit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They
Because like if they had come like for a parent like at the college day, and then like it just so happens to be like in the time frame of the school, like
yeah, no, it wasn't that well planned out.
if
by
the
me,
school
but-
set that up.
Yeah, no, the school seems to be like, hey, parents, come on in right at the beginning, and then we'll see you in 4 years.
Okay.
That seems to be my experience, unless the parents want to come down. But yeah, so we started dating, and then she went and lived actually with my parents our second year of school. She left school. It was like, I am not paying money for things if I don't know exactly where this is headed.
Yeah.
A decision that I am eternally grateful for now that we're married and down the line. I'm like, you have no debt in that area, and I do. So she lived with my parents in Montana while I was still back at Corbin.
Wow.
And so she was like wedding prepping. It worked out better
Genius.
because
Nice.
the weddings in Montana, all that stuff.
And your family's all there. Your
Yeah.
parents and
Well, and
stuff.
her family's in Idaho, so that's why it was strange. Yeah. People are like, why didn't she go? But the wedding was in Montana, so being there for 6 months.
Were you engaged at that
Yes,
point?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
literally, I thought you were joking when you said wedding prepping, but actually like.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got engaged the first semester, and then second semester, she was like, I'm gonna figure out what I want to do.
Makes sense.
First semester, you got.
Second year, yeah. So we're 3 semesters in.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Dude,
Yeah.
one
So we-
semester you're
because
already
she also
engaged.
Ring by
came
ring.
into the
Or
school
ring by
with the
ring.
boyfriend,
Yeah.
and like your first semester, oh yeah, she's
Yeah,
gonna
we
go back
we
over to my
dated
house.
for about a year before we got engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So this year will be 10 years. It's wild.
Wow. Congrats.
It changes you. You're on your journey. But yeah, it's
What do you mean? I feel the same.
yeah.
No, it changes you.
No, it's just it's I could not. It's like you have this person that constantly it's like a constant.
Yeah.
And also it pushes you in ways that you didn't really know that you needed to be. Like there's areas of my life where I was like, that's fine. I'm comfy. Like we're good. And then it's like, no, like you're gonna have to work harder, and that's okay. But
Dude.
it's so good.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not 10 years in, but like something I recognized pretty early on was like, oh man, I loved like before we were married, I loved her. I wanted to spend as much time with her as I could, of course. But then it's like when you're married, it's just it feels weird to say that you are now like the thing that you're noticing the most is this thing that of course is such an obvious thing, but it's like hard to wrap your mind around just how it feels to have someone there all the time. Right. Because like even if you grow up with a lot of siblings, like that's certainly different. But like even if you grow up with people in your house that are always there, like someone who, I mean, the Bible says, right, you are one flesh, right? And it's like every decision you make impacts this person, whether you like it or not. And so you can choose to invite them into it in your head all the time or not, and that's going to be rough. But like whether they're with you or not, it's kind of like they always are because you're like every decision you make, it's now theirs too. And like, yeah, the word constant is like when you said that, I was like, dude, okay, I'm not crazy because that's the word I always say. It's like this, it's just a constant presence.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing.
And that's kind of, and I mean this both in the nicest way to those who are in the dating space. I couldn't imagine being in it right now.
Oh, dude.
Like you said, that culture seems wild, and it's just it's tough. Like I'm very thankful. I know that's here we are, but
I'm very thankful for like. You mean like you're thankful for the circumstance in which led like some of it was curated for you, kind of, or
a little bit, but also
Me too,
that
dude.
like you hear like people say like, oh, I date my wife, which is a reality, like, but it is different. Like,
oh yeah,
very much so. Because of that constant, you know that there is equal commitment.
yeah,
And it's not like oh man, well, I haven't heard from them in
Yes.
6 days.
yes, dude.
I wonder if we're gonna see each other again anytime soon. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Like the work that you should put in shouldn't be over. You should
Exactly.
still put the work in,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
But there's this level of like, don't take it too far where it's like, oh, I can rest. But
Right.
there is a level of rest because even if you're in a situation that's like you're joking about the conspiracy where it's kind of curated. I was in a similar, like didn't go to school and it was curated, but like our parents said when we were really young, you guys are going to get married, right? And like it builds to
prophecy.
that. Yeah, we say the prophecy all the time.
really?
Yeah, when we were dating, we would call. I did. She would kind of laugh, but I'd be like, the prophecy. It's the prophecy. But like, it's kind of nice because even in those situations, and I can't imagine if I wasn't in a more curated situation like that, but like even in those, there's elements of like, I feel really solid in this, but then you don't hear from her for a day, like you said, or 6 days, and you're like, I guess it's over. You know, like just the way your brain lies to you.
Yeah.
But like when you're married, like I don't think that. Like
Right.
we're married, and the whole purpose, like we have very intentional marriage. Like leading into it, we like really consider what marriage is biblically, and you know we've made promises to one another aside from just our vows in front of everybody. Like divorce isn't an option,
Right.
Like so, like there's just this security in the
So it
constancy.
takes
right?
a lot of the stress out of the chase that you still have to
Yes, because
maintain.
when you're dating, even if to you you're so solid, you also can consider like well, I don't know, maybe this isn't what God wants.
right.
And so like even though I was very certain, I'm like I'm capable of, so there's like a regular prayer in that too, that like, God, I am so capable of being wrong, but I feel so certain on this.
Yep.
Please show me if this is not right.
Right.
And then having to consider like man, I feel like it will crush me like nothing has ever crushed me if I'm wrong about this. So man, I hope it's not, but maybe I am. But once you're there, that constancy is beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds so nice.
Sorry.
Never been to that. It's like
I try to be careful how much I talk about this when it's just us, because it's like I feel like I'd be a jerk, but now I've got somebody that
you have someone to bounce off of.
Somebody that you can gang up on.
Because like me and Levi are both single.
Yeah.
Right now, at least I think Levi is. I don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
he was saying that dating game is weird. So.
Yeah, the game is weird. But like, I remember when I had my last date or last girlfriend, and I was like, wow, I feel the chase. You feel that stuff, and you're like, whoa, that would be nice to have that gone.
Yeah.
That'd be so nice to be like,
It is.
I can relax now. Not really, but like,
Right.
I don't have to worry about that.
Right. And I should also say, like, I think one of the other things that Christian culture does is a lot of times they and maybe rightfully so, but they elevate being married or being coupled.
Yeah.
However, and it's like the singleness is almost this back less, and it's like I don't necessarily think that's it either. Like I think a lot of people, they have to figure out how to be single before they can be with anyone.
That was what changed it for me. Like I literally, there came a point in my life where I was like, I have to decide if I'm content being single for the rest of my life.
Right.
What does that look like?
Right.
Well, because what if that's a reality? And if it is, then like, because in my head, it had been the elevated thing.
Right.
There was nothing more important than marriage. Well, that's dangerous as a believer. Like the thing that should be most important to me in my life is my relationship with God. And so what changed was like, how do I, we had a podcast episode at one point where it was like, we're all single. How do we use our singleness for God?
Yeah.
And like, when you really think that way as a single person, I think it changes, doesn't mean that, oh, now God's, now you can get married. Like it worked. It did happen to me, but I just mean that shouldn't be how you think of it. Honestly, it should hopefully change your heart so that you're like, I am okay with this, and I see good in it. God can use this.
Yeah. 100%.
Because like you give everything you have to Him, and that's what you have right then, right?
Paul talked about that. Like it's better to be single than to be married. Like because you can devote entirely to God.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about how this will affect other people other than God. And then once you're married, you do have to take all of the situation that you're in into way more consideration, and you're not just entirely 100% focused on God, which like it sounds
I think my understanding of that is like
that's
He's not saying don't get married.
He's not
just
saying don't get
like,
married. He's just saying it is simpler.
You will be more effective in some ways. Be like if you're devoting your life to ministry, I think maybe like he was saying, like I can, my decisions, they only affect me, right? So I think that there's absolutely boons to a life in ministry by being married. I feel more effective in ministry because I'm married, but it's in a different way than like. But I do know if I wasn't married, I could say yes to doing more things because my schedule and things like that only impact me, right? So I think it's kind of in that way. I think there's some believers that take it further and be like, that must mean that you should never get married, which if you take it back to like God's intention for humanity, He says, have dominion over the earth. How do you do that? Well, like have a godly family, right? Have a family and more Christians doing that. Like we will glorify God with His creation, the earth. Part of some Christian Influence did recently, we had a book club and we read together. It's a book called It's Good to Be a Man. Great book. And it talked a lot about that. Like the title sounds funny because it's kind of like, you're just like, oh, it's good to be a man. I can sit back. And that's not what it's saying. What it's saying is culturally, society is telling you to be what a man is bad. And this book is saying, do those things. It's actually good. And it talked about that. Like our purpose from the beginning was go forth and multiply, like have dominion over the earth. And God demonstrated a cycle for how we do that. But then when Paul says that, like, I think people take it the other way and be like, so then it's marriage is bad.
No,
like,
but
it's
but there's just perks to staying single instead, like with different parts of your life than being
for
married.
sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the copium.
It's the copium.
It's the copium.
I'm confused.
Cope. It's like, you know what it means to cope, right?
Yeah.
Copium
Yes.
is an internet
Copium
term.
Do it
like,
a lot.
Opium?
is like the drug that you're taking, the copium, in order to like. I'm fine with this. Everything's burning.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this. I'm taking the copium,
But it's
like,
not
I'm good.
a good thing necessarily to
right,
say.
right,
but
right.
It's an internet term. That's where it comes from. Levi and I were not glorifying
But
drugs.
we're
by
not.
saying
We're not
it.
glorifying. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
like
funny internet term.
that is the term that has been my life for school. So
Yes, it's like when you're like, this is good. This will be good. This will be good.
This is fine.
That's your
This is
copium.
fine.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
fine.
Yes.
These are the reasons, and the reasons are the copium that you're constantly like, this will get better. Like when you're talking about like teams, like
Yeah.
we got this one guy, he's shooting incredibly well. Like the team's losing overall, but we got great players. They're doing
Yeah.
great.
It's
They're
like when you hear
they're
someone
gonna pick it all back
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
That's the copium.
But like your team sucks. Like
so I'm sorry, we've gotten veered off topic, but like
I'm good at that.
you're married.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is
so
important to you.
in,
and
in
that's
your
how you met
marriage.
spouse.
Have you had any kids?
Oh, I have two
Yeah?
of them.
You have two of them?
Yes, I have two. They are so marriage is an adventure. Parenthood is a separate adventure. It's unlike anything else. Like being married. I mean I would say because some circumstances are different, but like the other person they're an adult. They're able-bodied. Like they can function themselves. You have to teach these kids how to function. And what's been so to probably share too much, but whatever.
You got to
Anyway.
teach them how to poop. Like
Kinda, or at least poop in the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good at pooping. It's the aim and location that needs the most work.
Yeah.
And apparently frequency of peeing. But it's like, so I worked 10 years of foster care mental health mentoring.
Okay.
And as sad as it is to say, like the statistics, I don't think I had a kid in that whole time who was with both bio parents. I know that was not the case. And if they were with a bio parent, it was one.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that like that always is going to produce a person that is going to need mental health.
Right.
But I think, and kind of like what you were saying with like God's intention for marriage and family is there is something good about a mom and a dad.
Oh yeah.
Constant. And
Dude.
and that like, and I truly, I'm trying to pad this a lot because I know that inevitably there is probably someone listening that doesn't have that.
No, yeah.
And that's not to say like, oh, well, you will, but I'm sure like in the times, like I know I had a buddy growing up, he didn't know his dad ever. Like,
Yeah.
And I remember like he had guys in his life who were like dad and played that role for him. And that's great. But I've seen like parentlessness, or specifically fatherlessness produce disaster in a child's life so often that it's frustrating. Number one. And number two is like, it really pushes you to do what you can to remedy that in these now two people in my life's scope of existence. It's like I'm like being a dad and being a father are very different. Like you can have a kid and that's great, but like if you're not there, it's tough. Like and I don't remember who said it. Someone told me like having kids gives us the opportunity to do better for them than our parents did for us. And I'll say that like my parents, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful like to have the situation that I had, but that just raises the standard for me. It's like I'm going to try to do better than even that. And then they just know how to frustrate you too. So then it's, it circles back to it's constant. I truly don't know how people without a faith community do it. I don't know how people who are just so isolated, whether from family turmoil. I don't know how they do it. Like my parents live very close to us. They help with the kids. That's where my kids are right now while we're recording this. And it's just like, you hear people say it takes a village. It is true. But that village cannot substitute the parent.
Dude, great.
And that's something that I have, like, what is parenting like?
Yeah.
You got to find the people that are going to be there, whether it's your neighbor or your church. I've seen a lot of parents, they back off from church where it's like, well, I don't want to force it on my kid. And I get that, sort of. It's okay. Our pastor at my church down in Albany, he talks a lot, like, and he makes a joke, and it is a joke, but he says, like, I was part of the drug culture, and then he tells, like, my mom drugged me to church, these days of the week. And it's like, okay, but I'm kind of seeing the value of that in some way, because I know myself, there was a time where I didn't want to go to church. And it was like, if my dad hadn't said, hey, like, I'm not going to make you go, but you're not going to get to do all these extra things that you think you can just, if you, and at the time I was upset, but now I'm like, yeah, I get it, because this faith community is so important to kids.
It's like what a shepherd does, right?
Yeah.
Like shepherds sometimes do things that sheep don't like, but it's because they know better.
Yeah. And that's like trying to help kids see, like, hey, we've been down this road.
Yeah.
And I know that all you have in your brain is the desire to do this thing right now, but I promise it's not good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know how to convince you of that. That's like parenting. It's just all day of, hey, this is maybe better for you. Reese's Cups for breakfast it's probably going to be fine once. 3 weeks in, defo not going to be a good thing. You're going to be grouchy. Here we are. But yeah, my kids they're an adventure. They also, like, I have a boy and a girl. They could not be more different. It's just wild. And we purposely, like, for our son, we bought a lot of, like, yellows. So that way, you can use yellow for the girl stuff. If he grows up, he's all red, and my daughter's like, if it's not pink or purple and sparkly, I'm not interested. And we never pushed it.
Yeah.
It just, I'm like,
wow.
So much for saving some money.
Yeah.
But no, they are, yeah.
We're thinking about that right now. We've got one on the way.
Hey.
And we're like,
is that has that been, like, said?
No. On the show? No.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's public, but that was the
it.
first time I've said
That
it.
was it.
I've joked, like, made little hints, but.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like on our Facebook and stuff, but, like, on the show,
if
I've
anybody
not said-
joins the Discord,
read.
like, your subtitle is like ETA for the baby.
921.
What?
Yeah. So we've got a baby on
I'm
the
not
way.
observant enough. That's awesome, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. She found out she's pregnant in January, so we're well into this thing. She's 19 weeks today. I got the little notification on my phone. So next week we find out boy or girl.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So what you were saying, like, we've been thinking, like, well, okay, let's get. My wife loves a lot of, like, sage green stuff, and green baby stuff can kind of go either way. That's great.
Yes.
Like a lighter green, especially. And so we thought about, like, the yellows and the greens and stuff. So it's good to hear that won't matter.
I mean, you never know. For us, it just.
I mean, they don't have a choice for, like, the first.
No, that's the great. Like, the baby stuff, it will matter. Like, we can reuse baby
100%.
stuff, which is what we're thinking.
It's not until
they can, like, I don't like this.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's like it all pops off. Like, babies are great. I'm less interested in the baby stage. That's just me.
That's pretty typical of father, like,
it's
men.
like the other night, I'm on the trampoline.
Yeah.
And the kids are on the trampoline.
I saw that on Facebook.
And it's just like, this is the best.
What's their age?
My son's 7, my daughter's 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
Like,
you're just having fun?
I can do this until I can't do it. And it's just, but when they're little, it's like, I love holding this baby.
Yeah.
But I really want to bounce on the trampoline.
Yeah. See? Yeah. And they're, babies
and they
are
keep
great.
telling me that that's not okay for your neck. Bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I hold you right.
A lot of baby stuff suggestion though. Like, not that, but there is some of it that is like, oh, you shouldn't do this. It's like, 40 years ago they told you the opposite. So, and 40 years from now they'll flip back. It's
no, that's true. I mean, like
we'll see.
Like there are some things like because this is obviously her first pregnancy, and we're like, I'm sure you can relate to this. It feels like everything you do, there's someone that says, never do this or you'll lose the baby, like, and then you go, wait, what? I thought I just read an article or, my parents said like, this is really good when you're pregnant. Like you should be doing this. And then, you do it or you see someone else over here and it's like, never eat that ever.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? How do people avoid eating this? Like that's impossible basically. Or, it's like, don't drink water that's between these 2 degrees.
Yeah.
What? Like it's so ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only drink water between these two.
What? Yeah. No. Literally.
Who do I
I don't remember
trust?
what
you
it
should
was.
tell you. I'm just thinking of the like peeing every 10 seconds. So you should hit that when she like gets further into her. Hey, we need to 10 to a minute here. You need to be dial it.
Should I?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
Okay.
No,
I
don't do
shouldn't
that.
Let's throw a caveat in there real quick. Not when you're pregnancy. There's different things that go on there.
There was literally something though, I don't remember what it was, that we were like, oh, I wonder about this, and it just threw us to a loop because the same like baby center online website that we had been looking at a lot of stuff had literally 2 opposing articles about this one food. I think that were like
wild,
and it's not like one is saying like you could or could, like you find a lot of ambiguity. 2 articles saying one absolutely do not, one saying absolutely it's okay, and we're like,
Were they written by the same guy? Because that would be funny.
that would be. I don't think so, but it's on the
But they're
same
20 years
from the
apart.
same source.
It's just a trolling website.
well, even
like,
sometimes they're not. Like
I know.
so much is opinion. Like
For us, like it was coffee.
oh yeah,
Because Anna, she's a big coffee drinker, and the withdrawals are real. Like, and so her
decaf
doctors,
isn't enough.
decaf should not exist.
yeah, because the caffeine is what's.
No,
I don't believe in decaf coffee. So
Okay. All right.
I've heard some of your opinions.
I will just dump it. Like
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Can you
if
tell?
I can. If you put decaf in this, I would know.
Really?
100% tastes different.
Next episode you're on.
Okay.
It's like on the videos where they got all the like sodas. And,
Yeah.
I'm curious.
But her doctor's like, you can have some coffee. Like,
Yeah.
you're fine. And that for me was like, oh, a lot of this is suggestion. Like, not all of it.
Because
like, there are some
I've heard
things.
so much that it's like never caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
0 caffeine.
Yeah.
Or else.
Well, they say the same thing about alcohol, of course, but like there have been some people that have like a little bit of wine is okay, and I was like, what?
It's tough.
How is that true? Like,
well, there's like there are some benefits to like
sure,
red
but
wine.
like during the
like-
pregnancy,
but
like there's
during
still
the pregnancy,
alcohol in it.
There's
and
still alcohol.
Alcohol's the big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. I mean, Perry doesn't drink, so it's fine.
Right.
But like then some people are like, no, you actually, even if you don't drink, you probably should drink a little bit of wine while you're pregnant. I'm like, this sounds like
That's
This
heresy,
sounds
my
like a
friend.
trap.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, but
I really
everybody will have suggestions.
Yeah.
And-
I really like what you said earlier, though, to kind of go back a little bit to what you said about fatherhood and about it being super important that both parents are there. And we don't want to make, obviously listeners feel bad. Like if you're in a single parent household, our goal isn't to say like, you're bad. No, of course not. But like we can say some objective things here. Like, of course, God has an intention for things. And so veering from that intention, it will always be not as good, right? Like God always does what is best, and his intention is always best. Now, he does a lot of good out of hardship, right? And that's because like we live in a sinful world, and we have a very merciful and gracious God who does do good things through our deviations from perfection, I guess you could say, right? But like this is something Perry and I talked about before getting married a lot, is like we don't want to get divorced, of course. But then we started trying to be like really aware of like, well, how many people are divorced that started out telling each other, we don't want that, of course, right? So then we had to consider also like, we're committing now to remembering when we say now, like, even if we ever get to a point where we feel differently, like I hate saying that, like we have to remember that we said we don't. And on top of that, we want children. We want quite a few children, obviously, right? And we're like, both have come from homes with divorced parents. And you talked about the constancy earlier of like having a spouse, and then the constancy of having two parents in the household. Dude, like, are there a lot of kids that have come out of that and are okay, or maybe excel or do great? Sure. But there are statistics that show two-parent households, or the lack of them rather, that make a real difference in that kid's life, right?
Yeah.
And like you were saying, you've seen that firsthand, right? Working with these kids. And there's statistics that talk a lot about that too, but or demonstrate that. But like just in my life, I noticed like there are really, like we talk about this, and of course you think about like the big things, like mental health, things like that. There's just really practical things that when you don't have two people working together to facilitate the really practical necessities, like you talked about bathroom stuff with kids, like, or even when it comes to like, there just needs to be two people. Like, one person can't do everything in anything. And when it comes to raising kids, like I think about the areas where after my parents got divorced, like, you know, at one house, like that house didn't get cleaned as much.
Yeah.
Like, and it sounds kind of like, oh, it gets into the people think it's icky to be like, one person's job is this or whatever. No, it's just like, dude, practicality is like, if someone's working all the time. So for my dad's house, my dad works a lot. He works a lot to provide. He has 5 kids. And I mean, I'm not there anymore, but he still does a lot for me.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so it makes sense on the practical level. Like if he works 10, 12-hour days almost every day, comes home, like he's got to sleep sometime. When does he clean the bathroom? 100%. Or when does, like, there's a reason why over at one house, like we didn't get as many home cooked meals anymore.
Right.
It was a lot of like, sorry guys, it's pizza again. And I don't blame my dad for that. Like my dad, you know, all he ever does is this. Like he never cooks for us. Sometimes he does. It was just like, dude, you start to learn like, and I hope that helped me be patient with them, you know? But like, so for Perry and I, there's those big things. Like, dude, our kids will be maybe worse off or like have less of what God intends for their life if we were to be divorced. But also there's just a lot of practical, like life will be harder raising children. And I don't know how many people, I mean, that almost makes it a selfish thing. Like maybe just stay together for the ease of it. But like, dude, stay together for the kids.
Yeah.
Like, man.
And I think the church has a spiritual purpose on this earth. But I think one of the tangible, day-to-day physical purposes is, so like we're in this broken system that has sin as a component. And I don't know many people who, when faced with single-parent household or split-parent household or mixed family, look at that and say, on day one, this is what I was hoping. Like, I think there's some that they've grown to love it, and that's good. I'm glad that they have grown to find their stride. But I think in many ways, one of the tasks of the church is for those who have had that or are in that to come alongside of the people who do not right now in some way and be like, hey, we'll watch your kid tonight. You know, why don't you go out on a date if it's a single mom? And it's like, we can all put the thing in the corner that says like, this isn't the ideal, but what now does the church do to help make this situation more closer to what the ideal could be? Sure. Like that's I think that's a whole plight of like sin and how God works in this world. I mean, sin in the system is not the ideal. And the rest of the story is how God is working to make the whole thing restore it to the ideal, but along the way work within that to make it more like his ideal. And that's just like parenthood and marriage is like this. There's a reason the Bible uses those as pictures for all this stuff. It's so tangible.
That's super cool. Like, and like you said, he's making it more like the ideal. We have scripture that even says like we are being made more perfect until his return, right? So it's like until then, until it is again the ideal. Yeah. And we know that's a beautiful thing too, and encouraging us. Like we know that there will be a day. Yeah. Like the battle is won. There will be a day when the ideal is restored. But the life here on earth is through his power and grace in our lives. He is helping us closer to that ideal despite sin, right? Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
and that's true. Like in like marriage, I mean, sin is an aspect of that too. And dealing with that so you can both get closer to that ideal marriage. I mean, it's in everything, like that idea of dealing with sin and moving closer to godliness. It's kind of pervasive.
Yeah.
As I guess it should be.
Yeah.
How can, in everything we do it for the glory of
Yeah.
God? How can we do that in
Yeah.
everything? Work closer to exemplifying Him in every situation of our lives.
And there's like with having like a church family being behind you, it's not just like so that somebody can look after your kids. It's to help you because like knowing women, they work differently than men.
Yes.
And like working through some like sins in your life or things that are wrong in your life, it can be done, but it's more ideal to have someone that thinks more like you, having men in your life that are like
100%.
able to work with you, because there are some things that like I could imagine not wanting to work through like personal sins with your wife in particular.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't.
That not to say that you shouldn't, not to say that they shouldn't know that these things are happening, but to like the process of working through them with men that understand it better and can help you through.
Yeah. Men that have probably gone before you.
Yeah.
In many ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like child rearing.
And women.
Because you've
And the women working along with women
Yes.
Yes.
to have women issues.
Yeah. But like you see your son, he's doing something and you're like, that's not gonna turn out well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna either let you suffer in it because you have to learn, or I'm gonna try to protect you from that because I know that I've done that.
Right.
And I'm gonna try to save you. But also the older gentlemen,
Yeah.
the 50s, 60s, 70s, the older gentlemen that have gone through way more than I have.
Yeah.
Go
And
say,
have
hey,
watched more people
have
go
watched
through
it.
the same
Yeah.
things.
They've watched
Yeah.
it, seen it happen, and they're like, this is going to turn out bad. I can step in or I can not. I'm going to step in and say, hey, you need to either knock this off, or you need to fix this thing, or hey, what you're doing is good. I enjoy what you're doing right now. This is good for you.
Yeah. So what are the two things like to take away from that is like, or like the two roles here, right? Like for people in that older generation, right? Like it's your responsibility then to both affirm the good in the younger generation and to call out the bad, right? And try and demonstrate it to them. And then for the younger, like it's the onus is not just on the older. For us, right? For those of us who are looking up at these people, or well, that's the thing. We should be respecting them, respecting their opinion, right? And really, like it's so easy to just write people off.
Oh, yeah.
And dude, I really hope there comes a point in everybody's life where they go, oh man, like I did that as a kid, because when you're a kid, you constantly do it. Like you were just saying, like the kids are always like, but I want the Reese's Cups right now.
Yeah.
But like,
How could it be bad?
part of growing up has got to be when you start hearing other people telling you that Reese's Cups are bad, you start to go, I used to do that back in the day.
Yeah.
Even though I don't see it right now, I'm going to try and see what they're saying for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's got to be growing up, right? Or at least a big part of it.
And unfortunately, like most of the time, and not only with like looking at other people, but looking to what God says, like unfortunately, the way that humans are built, like we see it time and time again, not just me personally,
Right.
but like everyone, like there has to be a point where you're like, nah, that's stupid. I'm going to do it anyway. And then you have to look back on that and be like,
Oh, man.
maybe God knows better. Maybe those people that have been going through the same things that I have and watching all these young people do that, maybe they're onto something there.
Yeah.
And then like building that trust is super important, and being the parent in those situations, it's super important to build that trust all the way, because if they can't trust you like at the beginning, then like when it's like big things, like that can be.
Oh, and that's one of the scariest things about parenthood is when you are calling mom or dad. Like, what do I do with this? It's like I feel like I'm supposed to know this.
Yeah.
I'm still on the horn, you know, like,
Yeah.
and you get to this spot where then you realize, like, I think every adult had the adult that they called. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when do you become? That's what boggles my mind, especially like this generation.
And then
thing.
like realize like, and then you also come to a point when you realize that your parent is fallible.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like if you had like that good strong relationship, and then realizing, oh, they can make mistakes, but then the trick is to not go like, oh, when they're telling me to do something that I want to do and they don't want me doing,
throw it all out.
like Oh, they're wrong about this
Yeah.
one, just like that other time.
Yeah.
Like it's such a balance of
Yeah, Perry and I lately have talked a lot about, especially with Joel and Jenna, we were telling them like, we feel like, at least I've been feeling this way, and so we've talked about it, and I talked to my siblings about it, but I think, there's like that saying that people say, it's really common, like you whether you've grown up or not, when you have a kid, it grows you up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's more like that decides whether, if you haven't grown up yet, you will, it seems. Because now, and this sounds shocking, like a shocking way to say it, but I don't have the baby yet. Right? But it's rapidly changing my mind and pointing out in me maybe ways that I think God has prepared me for this, and then ways that I have yet to fully prepare for it. And one of those things is like, I just feel like my life is over.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it in like the way like my life is over. I mean like, and it is like my life is now. I can't imagine, like, so much of it is going to have to be devoted to how I'm realizing in marriage that every decision I make immediately impacts this other person. Like, man, that's got to be true of my children, right?
Even
If not
even
more so.
Yeah.
Right. So like, then that means my life is over, because before marriage, it's like your decisions impact you.
Yeah.
So every decision you make, that's your life. You did this and it impacts you. And that's not true. Like sometimes they impact other people, but I just mean like, whether it's something as simple as scheduling, or it's like the commitments you make and then failing on those. And like, sure, it's important to remember that your decisions impact other people, but at their core, at the end of the day, the things you do and the things you decide to do, like it's you're committing yourself. But I bet, especially as a man, like leading your family, when you're married, you're making decisions for the direction of your life for someone else as well, and they impact this other person. But then, so then I'm like, okay, so it's not just me anymore. Okay, and then we've got a kid on the way. So I'm like, I'm now deciding directions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so then my life is over. Like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, what does that then mean? Do I then just go, my life is over, this sucks? No, like, see it as an honor. I'm trying, like, I'm trying
So
to.
it's like it's a way more direct and like understandable and like graspable, tangible way of viewing when we devote ourselves to Christ.
Yeah.
Because when we are called to Christ, when we accept Christ as our Lord, then our life is over, and now we have to live for Christ and his kingdom, to put that kingdom here on earth, helping God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we don't get to see it really, like, as to the degree of, now there is a woman right here and then she will tell me things. Or there's a child right here and I will see, like, when I make a mistake, when I've chosen the wrong thing.
I'm not going to say I fully get it yet, but I'm just saying that, like, as I continue in this, I'm having new appreciation for and new understanding also of what it means to be like Christ. Because as we're called, all of us as believers, to live like Christ. But then, we know this, like, especially like you read the Bible, you're in church a lot, like, that marriage is called to exemplify the relationship between Christ and the church. So the more I see what's necessary in marriage, at least in what is clearly being laid out as what is good marriage, then I'm understanding more of what it meant for Christ to be Christ and do what he did. Because like, when I say my life is over, what does that mean? It means I need to live my life for God and then live my life for them. What did Christ do?
Yeah.
Dude, he lived his life for the Father, and then he laid down his life for all of us. So it's like, in my life then, as a husband and father, that I'm called to live my life for God and then lay down my life for them. And I probably could have said that 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm grasping it. And if I feel like I'm grasping it, then man, in 10 years, I wonder what I would say,
And I just want to put the disclaimer, like, I intellectually understand that, but like, it's not like, it's
and I'm not trying
fully,
to gatekeep you.
No,
I hate when people
but
do that. Like,
I know I already feel that it's not as like tangible and like real as
I think that's a good place to be because like for me, I would be like, yeah, I can intellectually understand that. And I would try and be like, but I'm sure that there's an emotional aspect that I don't. And now I'm starting to, and I'm sure that there's more of it that I don't.
I don't think you ever stop, or maybe you should never stop growing in that like development of that idea in your life.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's good. Because if you ever feel like, man, I stopped, then maybe you'll
We
just
made
slide
it.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, we made it, baby.
Yeah.
Now I understand the fullness of how Christ has affected all of our lives. Yeah. Like,
No, yeah. We see that in scripture of it, and that should encourage us.
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't wait to.
Dude, like,
Okay.
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm gonna change subjects.
Perfect.
That's fine. We've been going for a while.
We've beaten this horse, I think, to death.
It's a good horse to beat.
It's a good horse.
You know, we get some more out of it.
We could get more out of it, but
we
what-
could definitely get more out of this horse. But Hunter, what is something? I just want to know. I don't even know.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy right now. You had a layup. Now you don't.
So I went. Nope.
No, I
wasn't
mean
gonna work.
your last time you had to do this.
Yeah.
I know.
You had a layup. I'm
fine.
glad that you don't.
So
Yeah,
I just
I'm
got
very
dunked on.
He chose this one thinking it would be easy.
No. Yep.
Just say it.
Just
What
go
is,
for
what
it.
is something that you think would surprise people? What is something cool you want us to let us know about?
Like about you. About you.
Tell us about you. That something's like
That you think would surprise other
Man.
I feel like we've all gotten to know your heart a lot just now.
yeah.
So like so the kids at the high school, they've told me like that my vibe is like I would get apparently is like casual homeless. And so like I've really leaned into that.
What?
Yeah, they're like because I do stuff that they're like, how do you work here? Like I snag like string cheese out of the trash that's unopened. Like it's totally fine.
George
it's totally fine.
Costanza,
It's totally
dude.
fine.
Huh?
George Costanza and the Eclair.
Yeah.
Have you seen Seinfeld?
Not.
I mean, Levi knows what
I
we're
mean,
talking
I
about.
mean, I don't think that that's crazy. I did worse. Like me and my best buddy
Confess
in
your sins.
middle school,
Confess your
and
sins.
throughout all of elementary school and middle school, during pizza day, people would get personalized pizzas
yeah.
in a little box.
Yeah.
100%.
The elementary kids, they never finished them.
That's fine.
So we just would go in, and we never brought
Elementary kids
food.
also never wash their hands.
We never bought food,
But it's okay
and
because of
we
this.
didn't get sick. We would just go. We would eat the pizzas. It was incredible for years until the girls started going, "Ew, that's icky," and then they started like spitting on
on it,
it,
yeah.
pouring stuff onto it, like adding it, munching on, like just like destroying all the perfectly fine pizza that we could have
So
eaten
the
for free.
true measure of a debased person is whether they will still go for it.
We still went for
Yeah.
like
So-
depending on what it is. When they would just like pour orange juice and stuff, we would just be
But many ways, like this is a byproduct of also being married. Is Anna has course corrected many of these weird things in my life. Oh yeah, like I mean I regularly ate out of the trash back in the day. I mean we at Corbin, here we are, we're back. They had like a fake Starbucks on campus.
Yeah, okay.
And if you had a cup,
Hebrews, maybe.
well no, it was Starbucks. But like not really.
Okay.
yeah.
They're trying too hard. But like you could get a cup out of the trash somewhere on campus and then you could get free refill. So it's just like
That's not
Big
so bad.
brain,
Whoa,
dude.
whoa, whoa,
I
whoa.
never paid for coffee for a
So-
while.
So could you just get a cup of
Did they
coffee,
know you were doing
buy
it?
one, and then just reuse that
I've
cup?
Never asked.
Couldn't you just buy a cup or get a cup clean and then just reuse that
Yeah,
cup?
but what if you just
Yeah.
never had to buy one
That's
and you got one that was only used once every single time?
I get that. Yes. Oh, okay.
Like,
It's also like habit. You throw it away.
Yeah.
Like I'm also unable to plan that well, and
Okay.
so
I get that.
like you've thrown the cup away. I made the mistake again. I've got to go scavenge for another one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, popcorn at the movie theater, you grab the large bucket out of the thing, you refill it, they free refill. So this is something like the people, when they begin to get to know me I would say on a daily basis, they realize like, oh, you're a little bit like trashy in this way, for lack of a better way of saying it. And that's fine. I've embraced it. Like leftovers, the expiration dates, it's all suggestive. Like,
Thank you.
I mean,
Truly,
Harry,
it
are you
is.
listening?
Truly, it
I
is
mean,
suggestive.
they have to be like, oh, we have to put a date on it, but it can go further. Like
Right.
it's all up to like. And sometimes, and some things
Dude.
will expire early.
I regularly do like strange things with food
Okay.
and with like my personal, I don't know. I don't want to say hygiene. Like I shower, I put deodorant
Right.
on, I brush my teeth.
You poop 3 times a day.
There's days where I have gone to the bathroom more than 3. Okay. I track it, so
who
it's
hasn't?
like so I have this thing. It's a poop tracker. I gotta dude.
Yeah, tell us about it real
Yeah.
quick.
So I'll real quick. So like if you zoom out far enough, and you can see like I haven't gotten super crazy. This is when the data gets weird and
yeah.
But like I here we
pooped
are in
in
the
Florida?
magical world of Disney over here. Mickey Mouse
Okay.
Funhouse dropping a stack, and you just gotta like.
You only went.
Well, no. If you zoom in,
okay.
there's, and
That's
I
a whole
also like
cluster.
recorded. Yeah, there's. Yeah,
There's-
and then
there's multiple
the
at
other
those
sad thing is
locations.
when you forget, but it's nice because you can kind of look and say, "Oh, this is where I exist," and because there's pockets where like your house, the gym, your work, where it's just like you can't even see the map because it's just all over.
Are there some places that you like, dude? I'm there all the time, but like you can tell, like this is like an anomaly. I never use the bathrooms
Yeah,
there.
100%.
So there's
Yeah.
just like these dark zones.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is the city, and then there's just this one area.
Yeah.
That I've never pooped in.
Yeah. And yes, absolutely. The other thing is like, the people. So I play a lot of Pokemon Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big
Still?
fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Still?
It's never been better.
Nice. Really?
Really?
Especially-
it's getting better.
What level are you at?
48.
Okay.
I'm
You're almost there.
pressing onward. But there's the argument. It's like, oh, Pokemon Go is kind of dangerous because they track your data and they know your location. I'm like, they know. I could never commit a crime because I'm a creature of
They know where
habit
you
in
poop.
so many ways. Like they know where I'm going to the bathroom. They know where I'm like all of it. Like,
That's so much more funny.
Yeah,
they're like going through your data, and they're like, oh, "Yes, we got the gold
got
mine.
it, yeah.
We know where this guy poops."
yeah, well, and lots of people because again, it's got a social aspect where here we are. But yeah, no, I like outside of that, I love weird food combos, like things that like chili and cinnamon roll. Big fan.
Wait. A cinnamon roll with chili on it?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
All right.
It's a thing. Like it's an established thing. Grilled cheese with jelly on it. Quesadilla dipped in applesauce. Like all this stuff. Little applesauce scoop in your mac and cheese. Game changer. Like
You're saying
it's
these
so-
are better versions.
I think that they are worth doing.
I can see all of them.
and choosing over
chili
the
on the
regular
cinnamon.
version.
Choosing over. Okay, so
Chili on a cinnamon roll is I will say this. I've never had someone try it and not like it.
So
not
what-
just
I've had people try it and they say it's fine, but it's not for me, and
They're
I
not-
respect
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I've never had someone take
Go,
a bite
like,
and
this
go,
is disgusting.
"Oh, it's
wow.
Yeah,
That is
Is there a special type of chili? Is it a special type of cinnamon roll? Does it
No.
matter?
I
Chili
mean,
and
when
cinnamon rolls?
when I'm hard up for it, like I'll like go to Fred Meyer and get like the tray of cinnamon rolls and hit Wendy's chili and just go for it.
that is wild.
It's like it's kind of that
Dude.
nachos Bel Grande thing, but like kind of different too.
I feel like you're such a sage, like the man on top of the mountain, because so many times.
But for
That's-
disaster food.
no, you'll say things, and I'm like, I gotta try it.
Yeah.
Like I tried. I think I texted you.
Yeah.
One time because it was when Perry and I were dating. There was a Wendy's, and I was like, I'm gonna try. I heard Hunter say he tried it, and I went and got the pumpkin frosty or whatever.
man.
Because you really made it. You built it up, and I was like,
Yeah,
Pretty
good. The Wendy's pumpkin spice frosty, I was doing them 2 by 2 for a while.
Oh
like you
my
get one for the you get one for the drive home and one for home. Like
oh my gosh.
yeah,
I mean, it
you
was
don't eat it
good.
immediately. You put it in the freezer. You come back to it the next day or whatever. But like
I don't love
was
pumpkin
preloaded.
spice stuff, and that was pretty good.
it was I could not.
Dude, that's crazy. I'm excited for pumpkin spice season again.
Yeah, they have an orange vanilla.
Never
right
said
now.
that before,
Yeah.
have you?
I've never
Wendy's
said
not a
that before.
sponsor, but like they have an orange vanilla thing. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Oh, I forgot to tell you.
It doesn't captivate my soul as much as the pumpkin spice.
I bought drinks for the studio, and thinking of you, I specifically got you polar orange vanilla seltzer.
Have you had an orange vanilla seltzer?
Oh yeah.
They're a delight. To
Can we airdrop a couple of those in here?
Oh, let's
Dude, can I
go.
can I try
Is
one of these?
is
I
Shibbles
wanna
and
try it.
Drinks out
Is
there?
it gonna be
He's
bad if
already
I
on
grip
it.
and rip on air though? Because like,
in honor of you, man, let's do it.
I kerchunk every episode when I record. Like it's a thing.
No,
yeah.
I started doing it.
He's working on it right now.
Yeah, so
No worries, but so
we
also
can just fill our mugs. We can split a couple.
Yeah, but going back to the like stuff
There we
that's
go.
weird, like that stuff's
Thanks.
goofy, but then like kind of serious weird stuff is.
Do you want
like,
any of this, Byron?
I
I'm
would
the
love to
youth.
try.
Oh yeah,
These are the ones, right? Huh? Are we good just splitting these two?
we can
Yeah, that's
split.
fine.
Yeah.
Let's-
We all got mugs here.
We're splitting.
Yeah.
As he said, he's casually homeless. He drinks out other people's stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
sorry, I was talking over that.
Oh, you're good. It heard it. Watch me just disaster though. This thing everywhere.
Dude, it's okay. Dude, like, was it the last episode or the episode before that? I just spilled like half of my water.
You know, I had
Just
chai
all
tea in
over
here
the
before
table.
this, so
You can just drink out the
oh, it spilled on my pants.
But there it is. But like a serious weird thing about me is like so I've worked with youth forever. Oh, that is it. I'm gonna be quiet.
It's over.
And so they with that people
good.
are like, oh, like he likes
That's
the
good.
trend. He likes. I'm a sucker for hymns and like the old liturgical like.
Oh, okay.
I love that stuff. Oh. And I prefer it even.
Okay.
I'm not going to go as far to say like if we don't have that it's wrong, but like I'm not going to say that. But I do find I am
fine,
able
prefer
to
it.
worship better with that. That is how I will couch it.
Do you prefer if they did not a projector screen and then went to hymn books?
I do prefer hymnal.
So like, hey,
hymnal.
they just say it 35, 355, and you're just like,
And my
flip it
church,
grab it.
my church has the projector. For me, I think there's a lost art of the hymnal.
Yeah.
I think we should bring them back, if only to teach the art and the process of hymnal.
Yeah.
Like
there's a
should
hymnal
major in it.
there's a hymnal book that sits 2 rows behind me. I was back on that row for some reason. We don't have designated seats, but you kind of sit in the same spot.
Yeah.
You know how it
Well,
works.
it's church.
Yeah,
you
that's
know how
what
it
every
works.
church is.
But
Yeah.
this hymnal
Elbows are thrown.
has every single time that song was sung, the year and the date.
Amazing.
It was
That's incredible.
It was amazing. This hymnal book. I was like, what? And it went back to this. It was like 50s and 60s.
That's cool.
And it was like
Like they would sing it and someone would make a little mark in it, or
they would write the date.
wow,
That's awesome.
Someone had sat there and was like this. It only is there for like 7 years span. But every time the hymnal was used and that song was
cool.
sang,
Are some of the songs like hard to read because there's so much of like these are all of the dates?
Amazing
that it's
Grace is just worn out.
there's a couple of
There's
them that are
just
just like
a
this.
hole.
They just put like little ticks.
yeah.
Because of like here's the
We've
year.
quit dating
date,
it, yeah.
date. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was like there's too many.
It's every other week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one song that we sing.
And kind of related to that, I'm a big proponent of like physical copy Bible. Like,
Oh, yeah.
to the detriment and not detriment, to the frustration of many of my youth and young adults. Like, I mean, they have the phone. I love that the Bible's on the phone. It increases access, it increases reach, all those things. And I mean, y'all are an online ministry. I do online ministry adjacent things like phone Bible, great.
Yeah.
But there's something
resource.
about having this
I
like
agree.
the
Yeah.
text
Yeah.
and your Bible, like you have
Yeah.
page, like where it's at on the page is in your brain associated with this verse.
Yeah.
And there's something about it, like
Yeah.
to the point where like I have a Bible that's kicking and screaming to stay alive because I don't want to
I
get
think
a
that's
new
so
one.
special.
I don't want to get a new one.
Yeah.
Do you need to like rebind it, or is it like the pages are totally?
Some people
being
do
ripped
that.
It's a
out?
little bit of both.
'Cause you can rebind
it's,
them.
it's still together. It's just the cover is rough and failing, but I've got like underlining and like I took it to Israel. Like,
Yeah, you don't wanna get
Yeah,
rid of that.
I'm not getting rid of it.
You
But
can always put it on a shelf.
Yeah, you can. Well, no,
it's my church
put it
Bible, so
in
it
a
lives
case.
there, and then I have like one for the house because
Okay.
transporting it was doing a lot, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but like, there's something I think that especially younger teens, they just gravitate towards the digital for everything, and I'm gonna sound like an old fogey, but like, get yourself a paper Bible,
Dude,
do it.
speaking from a digital ministry's perspective, I'm going to die. Uh-oh. I sucked that down a little bit. Speaking from a digital ministry perspective, part of our vision
Yeah.
is to embrace the fact that like people are online using digital stuff, meet them there, but encourage them to get to the real.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I was like we want to reach the people that are online, and then be like, get offline, right? Stop
Go
using
touch
your
grass.
Get a digital, or don't get away from the digital. Like, get a Bible. Go to church. Like, online ministry never replaces it. So, I agree. I agree. Love it. I bought a new Bible recently.
Yeah.
And or I actually was going to, and then I asked for it for Christmas, and I love it. But at the same time, I like the translation of this one better than the one I had before. That's why I wanted it. But I also cannot remove the attachment I have to the Bible I got when I turned 10 years old from my grandparents, right? And it's still got it. And so one is the one I take with me to church. It's the new one. And then the other one is the one that stays at home. And like, if I'm at home reading, I'll usually go back and forth between both. Yeah. Or, like that's the one that sits on the shelf so that if I'm in the living room, I just need, grab my old NKJV from my grandpa. And then the NET goes with me to church.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also that idea of you need to buy yourself something and you ask for it for a gift. That's a sure sign of adulthood. Like you've made it. That's how you know when
you love socks on Christmas Day.
Big
which
fan.
I always have. So
yeah, it's great.
Maybe I grew up too young.
No. Yeah,
it is great. You talked about being involved at church, right?
Yes.
And I know you have. Are you still in youth ministry?
Yes.
At church? Okay, cool. Yep. I didn't want to assume, and then you'd be like, I had a really dangerous falling out. But just kidding.
It was the homelessness.
As someone who is directly involved in ministry, I think this is something I wanted to ask you last time you were on the show, but how has your direct involvement in ministry impacted you and your faith? Personally.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to work a lot harder to not have the preparing for ministry work bleed over into the I'm doing this for me. And sometimes, and I think it should. I think the pastor who's preaching and they're just preparing that and it's not preaching to them. I don't think that's good. But I also think the pastor that is preparing it and it's speaking to them, but they're also not like pursuing God outside that context. I also don't think that's good.
Like they're letting it be a two birds, one stone situation.
Yes. I think that's
got to be a temptation, right?
Yeah. And so it having multiple avenues of that for me has been super helpful. So I do the youth, I do the young adults. I work with a guy on an online ministry, Parable Ministries. Yeah. And so I'm prepping stuff for all of these, but then also slowing down. And I find, so like you have the reading and listening and speaking, you're all learning this stuff. I find that the listening, whether it's in conversations like this with y'all or others or Bible teaching stuff, that is a lot of my personal devotion of bringing in that conversation. And then you go read and connect, make those connections. But it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It also, like, it really challenges you to not just be able to say, okay, I know what I believe, but really, like, now it's like, why do I believe this? Because the teens are going to ask. Yeah. All they want to know is why. And you begin to realize, like, there are some things where you don't have a really good why for.
Yeah.
And some of those are, you better figure it out because it's worth having a good why for. And some of them are not important to have an incredibly good why. It's like, maybe this is just the church that I was raised in did this. A lot of those, that's that disputable matters that like Paul talks about is like, it's fine. Like we're all going to be okay. Yeah. And I know you guys have been like, the theme is unity. That's a big part of it is being able to identify this is not a line in the sand issue. And the trouble is when groups don't agree where the line in the sand where that bubble is, but yeah, that's like one of the big challenges. Like to my own spiritual life, doing ministry is separating ministry done for work and ministry done work done for ministry and work done for personal growth. Yeah. And they bleed over sometimes, but it's to only rely on your formal work as your spiritual growth, I think could be dangerous.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So would you say that would be your advice to people going into full-time or like starting out in full-time ministry?
Oh, no. No. So one of my new advices, so we just did this big study in James. And James comes out and he says, hey, not many of y'all should be teachers.
Yeah.
And I've now begun this like thread with my buddy. I was like, I almost think that Bible schools, day one of ministry, should be like, here's the deal, guys. If you want to do this, it's serious.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to teach the Bible, it's going to be real and it's going to be serious. Maybe many of you should switch your major right now. I think that's an honest presentation for Bible schools to begin doing. And so like people getting into ministry, I would say really pray and really decide, are you going to do this? Especially if you're working with young people. Because like there's this stereotype and this statistic of like youth pastors are 3 to 4 years and then they move on. And I don't think that should be the way it is. I think there's something to be said about longevity that is formative for young people. That if you really get to the bottom, it's like, how long do I want to be doing this? And how committed am I to this? If you answer that question in that first year, you're going to avoid all this like fallout, and sometimes churches aren't good at passing the baton, and you'll avoid all that if you really come to grips with why am I doing this and how long am I willing to do it, paid, unpaid, or otherwise. Like
it's kind of a chicken and egg question when you say like, why has this become a cultural thing? But it is a cultural thing within the church. And it's sad that youth ministry is viewed as a stepping stone to real ministry, right?
Yeah.
And like, I totally agree. Like, dude, the church needs to stop looking at it that way.
100%.
And some people, maybe to no fault of their own, just they've been conditioned that way because of the churches they go to. They're like, oh, okay, so that happened at my church. I saw that. That was the stepping stone. So I'm going to use youth ministry to get like practice for real ministry, and then I'll be a real pastor.
Because it's a different ball game. Because like it's entirely different types of ministry. Because like one of the big hurdles for youth ministry is getting the kids through the door and having them like pay attention for enough time so that you can say the gospel. But
then like when we talked to, it kind of makes me think of how we talked to on our last guest episode with Tim, how, you know, he said one of the most important people to him in his life was his middle school youth pastor, right? It's like if youth pastors or people in that role are looking at that job as a stepping stone to just what's next, and this is true in things in life in general, right? Like God puts you somewhere, maybe
be there.
Yeah, be there. Like, don't be worried about tomorrow, right? Be there. God put you there. Don't be wondering, well, what's next, God?
No, yeah. Like, so, like, I, when I was in high school, I got really connected with this one guy in the youth ministry.
Yeah.
And he would like come to my house and give me a ride to church and things. And like, he was really impactful. I had a lot of deep conversations. He helped me through a lot of stuff. I wouldn't like be here today if it wasn't for that one guy. But one day during that time while I was still going there, he vanished because he had other things, and like he just moved on from the youth ministry. And that was heartbreaking. And like, I never got to like say like goodbye or anything. And like, now I wish that like I had been able to like be able to reconnect with him and things outside of that. But like, I don't know all of the circumstances to it, but if that's how it was for me, I can't imagine for all of the kids that like, you're only in here for like 3 years. That's not enough to get through high school. Right. Like, you can't get through your years of high school. And with somebody's going to be guy.
Somebody like that guy could be there for 20 years, and someone's going to be that's their first year in.
Of
it
course.
Doesn't mean
like that's
it, of course doesn't mean it's wrong to move on. Like if God calls you to a pastoring job, you know.
But it is like that's something that's so real. That like heartbreak of the students, because like having those meaningful relationships, like especially when you're that young, is like super impactful. And if we're seeing it only like always between 2 to 3 years, that's what we're looking for in a youth pastor. That's just a difficult thing, because then you never get anyone to be in their freshman year and to be getting out senior year with the same guy.
Yeah, that's tough. I think the big thing, and you run into this with like schools too, is there's always this like chase of, well, what are you going to do? What credential are you going to get? Are you going to teach AP? You know, where it's like there's almost if a person finds themselves in contentment, it's like I'm doing youth and young adults. Like I don't want to move out of that. There's almost a stigma. It's like, okay, what's going on though? Like, what's wrong with you? No. I think the more the church can get away from that mindset, the better.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've been kind of thinking that I want to be in youth ministry. I want to be working with kids, and I have since I was young, and then I ignored it for a while. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But then, like, so part of this question was kind of, it was selfish. Like, hey, what advice do you have for me? You know, but like, I have kind of experienced some of that, like what Levi was talking about too. Not a ton, but I don't necessarily think that this person just left because they saw it as a stepping stone. But like I've similarly experienced during high school or right after high school, like, you know, the person that was my youth pastor and had been for so long, but you know, the sadness of, you know, them moving on to another position or another church. And, but it was different. I mean, I didn't experience, like, they weren't just gone, you know, I got to say goodbye and stuff like that. But like, it is difficult, and that's probably part of growing up. But in an ideal situation, right, if people are not viewing that as a stepping stone, and I don't know if this guy did with you guys.
I don't know the specifics of it, but I just know that having that removal, like, and if we're viewing it always as that, like 2 to 3 years, then
it's gonna
never,
have that.
you will always have that
That's
happening,
true.
and you will never have somebody with the whole time.
Good point.
That they're like.
You're always
like there's a possibility if you're having long term.
If you plan for it not to be, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
It's the student's always there's a student always in a time of, hey, we're looking for a new youth pastor. Who's going to be our guy?
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Oh, will we have church today?
And
or will we not?
Yeah, that's the tough one is when the church has gotten to the point where the guy is doing it all and then he steps away and it's like, well, we're just going to not have it for a bit while we find someone. It's like, no, that's why you have elders.
You have other people to step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to go back to, like, just related to what you're talking about parenthood earlier, like, kids need consistency. Like, if kids need consistency at home, kids just need consistency in a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's okay. Sometimes churches are at a tough spot, and like, new guy in, new guy out. Like,
things happen, but like, if you can try and prepare by having long-term people in the positions, like, it's just it makes things
like
better.
A good idea.
Yeah, to plan for success instead of like
transition all the time.
Yeah. Youth ministry is real ministry.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Like, and I think more people being honest about the people in their adolescence and teen, like that age range that impacted them, like, will help people to see that. Like, I know for a fact, without Cyrus Retman in my life, wouldn't be the person I am today. Without Marco Garvey, wouldn't be the person I am today. Without Matt Canary. I mean, that was as a young adult, right? But like, when I was, let's see, I knew Cyrus when I was like 10, like, and saw him basically every week until I was 20, and huge impact in my life, and a huge reason why I want to be in ministry. And then high school Bible teacher, Marco Garvey, huge reason I want to be in ministry.
Yeah.
The example that they set, and then like, even in how I apply it, because like I tell this story all the time, like how I believe Christian influence matters. We're like, we see where kids are, we're going to them, we're meeting them where they're at. Like, that's what Cyrus did for me. Yeah. He was like, dude, what do you like to do? Do you play video games? Like, do you play D&D? Do you do like, I'm going to do that with you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I can imagine, I'm now realizing as a person that's trying to do that, it can feel like you're trying to justify fun things. Maybe it's just a perk. You get to do fun things sometimes. You know, thank the Lord for that. But like, because sometimes it's not fun. But like, you are just meeting kids where they're at. And it's like, dude, that's what God does with us. Like, despite our sin, meets us where we're at. And then hopefully brings us out of it. Well, does. Not hopefully. We know he does. But yeah, youth ministry is real ministry. Like, don't look down on them just because they get to throw raw chicken at each other sometimes or whatever. Like,
and are having that much pizza, like,
and and Mountain Dew,
dude. I think that regular services should have more pizza.
I mean,
okay, I mean, more pizza is better than less pizza, right? So more weddings should have pizza then too,
dude.
More funerals for sure. Ooh. Maybe that was too much of a hot take.
No, I mean,
it couldn't possibly have been for you.
No. I don't know if there's too many hot takes for me.
Yeah.
Like, Byron's like, oh, want to bet?
I got some.
Well, this has been super long,
It's been
and I
long.
loved it. Some of it will probably get a little chopped up, and that's okay.
I think I have a habit of
Guest episodes are hard not to do this way.
yeah.
But this
Especially
was longer than your last one.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
We definitely broke the.
Yeah.
And I'm
I think I
saying
got
that-
more serious too this time.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that we have these two different. I loved it. This was great. This is one of my favorite episodes we've done in a while.
Yeah.
And I know it is because I want to keep going. I'm like, it hurts me to say, I know we have to stop.
Yeah.
We have to pull it
It's
back.
time.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Well,
I wish that I could have been there for the last time.
Well,
we're at, I just saw the timestamp there.
Oh, that was.
and Byron pees a lot more. So
Yeah,
That's true. He probably
I
is
actually have
dying.
had to pee since about I don't know 15 minutes in.
You literally
Oh my
went
gosh.
before we started.
that's
know.
scary.
So-
I'm sorry. What?
To close
Under
this
that 10
out,
seconds.
and also the listener might have to pee. Like, to close this out, what do we have at the end?
So I'm reading off the prompts. Yeah, I know. Do you have anything you want to promote?
Yeah. So I we've talked about it a bit, but I make a show about bathrooms. It's called PrivyCast. It's a podcast about bathrooms recorded in the bathroom. Bathroom culture, history, all that stuff. You can search for it if you type in PrivyCast. You'll find it.
It's pretty one of a kind.
Yeah,
It's one of a
you
kind.
can't quite type in bathroom podcast yet because you'd be surprised, but a lot of people are doing stuff in the bathrooms. Again, here we are. But yeah, PrivyCast, it's out there on social media stuff. Just PrivyCast is the way to find it. The other thing that I'd like to share about, I do kind of an online Bible teaching ministry called Parable Ministries.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a podcast. It's called Pickled Parables. And then we have another podcast that my buddy is actually reading in reverse order through the Bible. It's a different approach.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so he is just reading, and it's a Bible reading podcast. So I know like there's Bible audiobook Bible stuff on the Bible app. It's similar to that, but it's him reading through this without a break. It's just so like there's some episodes that are like 5 hours long.
Wow.
So what's that called?
That's called My Dusty Bible.
My Dusty Bible.
So
That's awesome.
And we've got some stuff in the works. But yeah, you can go find that. It's Parable Ministries, and the two podcasts are Pickled Parables and My Dusty Bible. So yeah,
That's super cool.
yeah.
Well, yeah, go check those out. If you enjoyed getting to hear from Hunter today, those are more ways that you can. And we hope that you go check those out. Before we close out.
I have one more thing to ask.
Yeah.
Tell me a joke.
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying I do dad jokes for the youth group and,
For a living.
and they love it. They say they don't like it, but it's one of those things where like they really like it, they just don't know how to say it yet.
So you get paid
Yeah.
to tell jokes to kids.
Yes.
Okay, you're a professional then.
So, sort of. So I have a series of cow jokes. This is one that I've been pulling out a lot more because it's from my growing up. I've been reminded of these. So a series of cow jokes for you. The first is, what do you call a cow with no legs?
Oh,
Ground beef. Yeah. So what do you call a cow with two legs? You got it?
Can I say it?
Yeah,
Lean,
absolutely. Lean beef.
Lean
Lean
beef.
beef.
Oh, wow.
What do you call a cow with a twitch?
A streamer? Oh,
No.
wait.
Yes. Yes. That's pretty. I love that. No, it's beef jerky.
That's I've not heard that.
Yeah.
one.
So then, what do you call a cow jumping over a barbed wire fence?
ouch.
Utter destruction. That's my series of cow jokes.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Like I've heard some of those like
Yeah.
just like the string of like the weird cow ones, but those two of those
Yeah.
Lean
I've not heard
beef. I was so confused because I was imagining just two front legs.
Yeah.
And
it's
so I was
just
like,
forward.
I guess it's leaning. Oh no, side legs, it's leaning. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, that's pretty good. Well, okay. Thank you for being here, Hunter.
thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I speak for all of us when I say we loved it. But no, I feel like we did. I loved it.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we got to have you back. We haven't had many return guests, and I'm glad that you're one of them.
Thanks.
Because that was really
Yeah,
cool.
it was good to be here.
So, yeah, we will have you back again for sure. But yeah, so everybody listening, if you enjoyed that and you want to get more involved, like I said earlier, find us on Discord. If you want to enjoy more of what Hunter's doing on the internet, go find him at PrivyCast, Pickled Parables, My Dusty Bible is the other one he's involved in. And yeah, just show him some love. We'd love for you to do that. And I think that's all we have for you. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
That's a good one.